Hi folks, hope you've had a good week, hope you're keeping well. I've just been reading in Matthew 24, chapter 24, verses 4 to 8, where Jesus speaks of a time of trouble that is coming on the earth. He says, "You will hear of wars and rumours of wars, nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places." And then he says, all these are the beginning of birth pains. Now, I don't know of any conservative Christian scholar that disagrees with the belief that we right now are in those days, the days of the birth pains that Jesus spoke about. Following on from this, Jesus then adds, and he says this, "Then you will be handed over to be persecuted." Talking about the birth pains, when the birth pains come, then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. Here Jesus seems to link the day of the birth pains with some kind of a persecution. I've just been reading in a magazine called The Christian Voice. While we're subscribing to, I would recommend that you subscribe to this, The Christian Voice. I'm going to show you a photo of it, and then and I'll probably put the website up for you. But in this magazine there's an article called "A Persecuted Church in Iraq." And he says, that's the editor, how that since the war that Bush and Blair waged in Iraq, the whole region has become very unstable and Christians have been persecuted at an incredible rate. I guess we've seen most of it on the news. In fact, we know that throughout the Muslim world, Christians have been murdered and slaughtered. I read an article some while back that said that there have been more Christian martyrs in the 21st century than any previous century before it. That's shocking news, isn't it? And the West is seemingly doing precious little to help these people at this moment in time. Then again, as we look at the Western society, we may find the answer to this. In many respects, it's almost criminal to hold certain Christian views anymore in the Western societies. We've had folks sacked for wearing a cross at work. Many have been persecuted for their stand on Christian morality. I'm sure you're aware of what is going on. It's been in the news, and there's ample evidence of it on the internet. If you don't know what's going on, then why not subscribe to Christian Voice and another one called Christian Concern, or other Christian sites on the internet which report what is taking place, quite often more than you'll find in the secular news. Now the British government wants to bring in pro-gay teachings in primary schools. That's little tots, little children. We can only imagine what might happen if Christian parents object to all this kind of stuff that's been taught their children. Where will it all end, I wonder? According to my sources, the teaching of creationism in schools, which is that God created all things, is to be treated as extremist dogma. Think about that. And evolution, which is still a very unproven theory, no more than that, is to be the answer to all of our ills, apparently. Unfortunately, evolution has no standards of morality or acceptable social behaviour, unlike the belief in a creator God. So what kind of a future generation will we be producing? I dread to think. It all sounds very depressing, really, doesn't it? All too many Christians avoid facing the reality of the situation of what's going on in our world today and in our country today, simply because it's so depressing. But you know, folks, ignoring it won't make it go away. We need to face up to what is happening and prepare ourselves, for one thing, to give an answer if we are asked where we stand on these issues. Also, we need to be reminded of something very, very important. Listen to this. God is in control of everything that is happening. He may not stop the bad things from happening, but he is definitely in control. And if you're going through difficulties right now, you need to remind yourself of this fact, that God is in control. If we read the first chapter of the book of Revelation, we find something very, very important. There, John, the only surviving apostle, is cast away on the island of Patmos, which was a Roman penal colony. What a sorry state he was in. After all those years hanging around with Jesus, seeing wonderful things happen, miracles, the dead being raised, feeding of many thousands by just a few loaves and fishes. But now he's a prisoner on what must have felt like a very God-forsaken place. But it says that on the Lord's day he was in the Spirit. And that's the best place to be in this world today, to be in the Spirit. And suddenly he heard a loud voice behind him, which then spoke to him. And the voice said, "Don't be afraid." Think of that, folks. Don't be afraid. Why not? Why not be afraid? Because the Lord is in control. What has to happen in this world today has to happen, but Christ is in control. And that's what the first chapter of the book of Revelation is all about, that whatever follows is Christ is in control. And if it wasn't for that first chapter, the rest of the book of Revelation would be terrifying, wouldn't it, really? So, folks, remember, Christ is here with us. He's in our difficulties with us, and he is in control. Folks, I want to tell you right now, we are a very privileged generation. Many previous generations of Christians would have wanted to see what we are seeing. So many Bible prophecies being fulfilled right before our eyes, almost on a daily basis now. And soon Christ is coming for the church in what we call the rapture. And then the trials of this world will be over permanently for those of us who have trusted and placed our trust in Christ throughout this world, throughout our lives. But until this rapture takes place, then let's continue to serve the Lord in whatever capacity we are called to serve him. You know, Jesus finishes this discourse in Matthew 24 with these words. "Who then is the faithful and wise servant whom the master has put in charge of the servants in his household to give them food at the proper time? It will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns." Doing so. We've got to keep doing so. Truly, I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. God bless you, folks. Hope this little blog encourages you for the week. Have a great week. Bye for now.